Okay. Yes, now I feel more energized. So, I'm sure that the audience has a lot of questions, but please let me start the discussion. And we've heard a lot of interesting stories, especially I think for Estonian people who live in Estonia. It's very interesting to hear representatives from such countries as Denmark, Sweden, Finland, because we always kind of set your countries as role models in many cases for Estonia. But my question is, here I can see a lot of familiar faces. I'm sure that Katerina will also agree with me that at the festival, Opinion Festival, there are also a lot of familiar faces. People, year by year, they're more or less the same. New people, new faces coming, but not at this rate that it was at the beginning of the festival 3 years ago. The question is, I'm sure that majority of people, at least in Estonia, but I'm sure that in many countries also, don't know about this kind of conferences, don't know about civil society term, they don't know what it stands for. They basically live in their own shell, in their own comfort zone, and they don't want, there are many reasons. They're probably lazy, they don't believe that they can make a change, they just don't want. They are satisfied with their environment, they don't want to go beyond it. The question is, do we, well, let's call us active citizens, do we have to get involved as people in civil society and get them involved and make a change? Or it's up to them and leave them alone? Was it clear?
I can start maybe. I think that surely we have to try to involve them. But also I believe that not everybody really likes to participate in civil society or civil organizations. But what I think everybody likes, they have their hobbies, they have their interests. And what we can do, we can show them how to use these interests. Because I have seen a lot of people who think that their projects or their hobbies are not actually interesting for masses. And they are afraid of sharing these projects. And they think that their discussions are not important, their topics are not important, they are not important. But when you give the opportunity, for example, it can be a TEDx talk, or it can be a discussion of Opinion Festival. When you give an opportunity to share their opinion, to share their ideas, and to get heard, something changes. And surely we live in this comfort zone, and it's really difficult to push those people out of the comfort zone. And I don't think that we can do it with everybody, but I think that with every year, with every new project, we can try to engage some new people. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe not like hundreds. And it brings changes already.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, after having done some research on Estonian civil society organizations, so I think they actually have an important problem with sustainability. And that is that there are more and more organizations founded, but more people are not coming into them. And that also means that often the organizations, they tend to be rather short-lived. Well, if you think, if the organization remains very small, and there is usually a small group of activists, and often there's actually one important leader, and anything can happen to that leader. Maybe the leader will marry or move to another place to live and so on, or get children and can't use time anymore for this. So, I mean, they are very vulnerable if they don't invest in getting more members and activating the members.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? And one more question from me. It's a bit controversial question, but I still want to ask it. Well, democracy is based on a concept that majority wins. Many people, they like the feeling to belong to the majority. Not many people like to be in a minority group. And even if they get and recognized as minority, they tend to become majority. This is kind of in our nature, maybe. Do you think that democracy supports pluralism of opinions in this sense? Hmm?
I think this is the professor answer.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I was talking about for the all my two.
Actually, I was acquainted with your work here. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have. I mean, if you democracy is about that you decide upon things, but you can only decide upon things when you have there are clear different options available, and there is a pluralism of opinions. And also, of course, there are other things with democracy than just the majority rule, and it's guarding also the minorities. So I mean, democracy is not the tyranny of the majority. It's as Tocqueville put it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm.
Any questions from the audience?
Can I just add one little thing?
Yeah.
In my experience, asylum seekers in general, they share one wish, and that wish is, I cannot wait for that day to happen when I'm not looked upon as an asylum seeker, when I'm looked upon as Samrawit, Fawaz, Ahmed, Abdullah, when I'm an individual. And if we can make that passage easier, that is where we should all be heading. Because if we turn it around, we would hate being stigmatized as an asylum seeker or whatever group characterization there is. We want to be known as individual people. Names, characters, souls, wishes, tastes. And that goes for all of us. And in my opinion, that is a focus that has never really won ground. And I'm surprised. To me, that is strange. It's like the whole discussion of integration has taken a turn that is not really helpful. That's my opinion.
Is it because it also, in a way, became more political issue?
It's because, in my opinion, it's because we have this strange desire that if you come to Denmark, you are nothing until you learn Danish. That is when you can start getting back to us as a society. Then we can start talking about giving you a job or whatever. Why is that? I mean, strange demand. Why are we not curious about who are you? That is where we should start. And we have so many devices that can help us communicate no matter what.
But then the question is, if we really want to learn who you are, we have to find a common language to learn about you. And
Exactly.
You to learn about
exactly.
me.
And
But
there
then-
are so many projects that I loved your project. And there are so many projects that you can start doing without having that shared spoken language. I mean, that's what the arts are for. Dancing, cooking, music. There are thousands of possibilities of getting people inside that same room, having 25 different languages like we had in the Asylum Center. And that is also, and that's another bonus, that is where you actually start picking up Danish, Arabic, whatever language you're looking to master. Because it happens in an inspirational room and not in a school class.
But do you have an answer to the question why we don't use those languages, but we stick to the spoken language in Denmark, Danish, in Estonia, Estonian? Why we don't use the other forms of languages, the other forms of communication? What keeps us from using them for integration?
Well, in my opinion, if I were running asylum centers, I would be looking to hire staff who have artistic backgrounds. I would be hiring at least one local artist who can pick up the phone like I did and call all the local schools, all the local gymnasiums, all the local universities. Because if you call them and you say, I have a room full of inspirational people covering 25 different languages, No schoolmaster will ever tell you, stay away. He will say, bring them on. And that's when you start the bridge building inside the local community.
Yeah, there is a question there. Can we give a microphone?
Yeah. Perfect. That we want to know the other people's. Yeah. But do we know all Danish, for example, who live all around? And the integration in our society, the refugees, for example, or newcomers, or we actually integrate for them, we start to change tones to them, I can sound a bit more conservative. And I'm nervous, I'm sorry, because I'm kind of inside myself are against this liberal stuff is going on around. Sweden, your rumors in Botkyrka going beyond Sweden far. I have heard them. I have heard that people are afraid to go around there, really. And I have heard that, but I don't know how much is it true there, but I have heard the policemen are even afraid to go. Some municipalities in Sweden. And how did it happen that the people have come outside of Sweden, grouped in one place, and so unsuccessfully grouped there? Why they not spread all over the country, for example, to integrate more? And also your racism and discrimination of whom? Of the refugee, of Arabian Muslims, or maybe in some kind of already racism and discrimination of Christians, people with normal sexual orientation, who becomes a minority already right now. I have sometimes feelings that I'm not a gay, and I'm not welcome in Berlin when there is a gay festival. Because I'm against it. I'm sorry, I'm against, yes, nothing to do.
Okay, time for an answer. I work in a no-go area, so I believe this is a part of my everyday experience. And the rumors, there is a ultra-nationalist view of society today, also a populistic way of there. So that's, I think, the problem that we had to deal with, and you had to be very critical to all the things that we are facing on, for example, Facebook. You have a good experience of Facebook. There's a lot of other experience of official media. Yeah, official media. Yes, and I would say that, for example, Malmö is a part of the is a city today which had a huge problems with all. There's, of course, things happening in the big cities. Of course, this is not a paradise. A society is not a paradise. There's always things to deal with. But I think Malmö, for example, and Botkyrka is example that they do so much for working with this, and they are quite also close to problems. And you ask also for the concentration of people. This is a combination of where people can live. Is one thing. This is a free things. We are not in North Korea. We are not in North Korea in Sweden. This is a liberal society, and there also a decentralization of for example, in Botkyrka there is at the moment 1,400 people asylum seekers, and 200 of them are going directly to the local administration. All the others is coming from the state placed at home at people. So that's the system we have in Sweden. So that's the part of maybe of the problem. But you had also a combination of dealing with this, both in the local level and the state level. So this is not so easy to change. The system looks like that.
And you have told that Swedish society have huge amount of resources.
Yeah.
But who are working for those resources? How many percentages is refugee and farmers are really involved in official working of paying taxes?
They pay taxes when they get a job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
percentage. How many?
I don't know the percentage, but I think the labor market is going better and better. I think the system will, going just at the moment goes in a positive direction in Sweden. So, but that's not a rumor. That's fact. So.
Do we have more questions? We have maybe time for 1-2 questions.
Can I answer this? I'm not from Sweden, but what I was thinking a lot about, taking into account Trump and Brexit, is that maybe we, as a liberal society, made mistakes, many mistakes. Not only one mistake, but many mistakes. And those mistakes are that we really hurried to be liberal, but not really all the people in society are liberal and have to be liberal. And so at some point we arrived to this point where we think that everybody actually appreciates gay marriage, Asylum, and all the minorities, but actually people don't. And it's normal because people are afraid of things, because people don't have experience in meeting with those people, and they don't know them, they don't know how they think, they don't know what are their future prospects, they don't know nothing about them, and they don't have experience. And as you mentioned, we don't know our neighbors. We don't know those people we share the building with. And how can we say that we know people who are from different countries and that we know their culture if we didn't meet them? And I think that those are actually mistakes that was made, and we have to deal with them now, and we have to repair them. And it's not that easy that you... and the second mistake is that we decide really fast. I know that world want us to decide fast, but we decide really fast, that we take all those people and we give them all these places, and we don't ask our citizens whether they really not whether they really can afford it, but how they see the process can happen. And so actually, I'm really interested in your opinion, because I think differently, but I think the problem is that those people who think like me, we are oppressing your opinion. We are like thinking that our opinion is much more important than yours. And that's why for me, Opinion Festival is that important, because I would like to bring really opponents, to bring really different opinions to talk to each other, because we don't talk.
Yeah, it's a psychology problem of psychologists in some way, because the conservative people naturally are maybe not so active, maybe as liberal, as psychological nature of human. No, as I see that, maybe in some way, I think liberalism made mistakes, maybe, but I'm not afraid of gays. My point was that I'm fine with them. But why should we push it out so much? Why should we underline that why should we underline them that they are okay? Why should we show off it? Why?
Because for me they're okay, you know.
No, yeah.
It's exactly.
But,
it's
okay,
exactly
let's make then this feminist parades.
Sorry, what?
Families. Let's take all big families and make their parades in this London. Let's do it.
I mean, I don't forbid it. If you want, you can do it. That's exactly what my statement is.
Great idea.
If you want to do it, you have to have freedom to do it.
Yeah,
Professor, you
I
have
was
something to say.
thinking that I think all of us here now, so we have been talking about dialogue and the need to contact between different groups and negotiate. And I think, I mean, you were asking how can we get more people with non-liberal views to the festival. But of course, I think that if they are totally non-liberal, so that means that you are not willing to discuss and you are not willing to negotiate. So I mean, there needs to be a certain basic level for readiness for discussion. For example, now when you are asking, is this all true that you hear about Botkyrka or other places? So that means that you are looking for, and you are trying to check the information you have got from somewhere else, so you are trying to check it with information that others have. So that's the beginning of the dialogue. So I mean, whatever the opinions are, but I mean, let's say the kind of basic element of liberalism is that you are open for rational discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Leif.
I have a great respect for many kind of issues that is around us. Things that I don't know so much about. I read the paper, and I think there must be something in the paper that can, it's true. But we had also make some analysis of media, how media write and present the situation in segregated places, as Botkyrka, part of Botkyrka, part of Malmö, for example. And there is interesting grammar that this is the media write about certain things in a long tradition. They don't change the view. So for example, the place where I work, there is just few things that they always use this area. If you are, this is about things that you are talking about, criminality, for example, and the situation for young Muslim women compared to the other questions and things like that. So there is certain themes, and it's very, very strong, organized, well, I would say, since a long time, and I think it's very hard to change that, and that's very problematic for these places, for the people who live there, and for also because there are not enough space of action to do other things, because people understand you already. So.
Well, I'm in this sense from Estonian national television, so I'm very familiar with press and media, and it's always interesting to see how people kind of blame and take accountable media for so many issues. Well, yeah, here again it comes. In a way, I agree with you, but on the other hand, well, media is just one source. And there are also certain rules. In some cases, it's business, and you have to follow those rules, otherwise you will be flushed away from the market. Well, media, yes, but
the consequences.
Yes, but not only me.
If you don't are aware about the story that you tell, if you always go to the same place and show the same things, that could be very problematic as a symbolic things of a problem in the society. You use some places for that.
Yeah.
Always. Every time.
What?
Sorry. The worse the better.
Bloody? Bloody?
Blood, yeah.
The more blood. Well, but it's also not only about media. I know that now is going to come a lot of comments about media, and I have to kind of defend my ground. So yes, but we can talk later a little bit. There is one more question there where we have the mic. It's coming.
It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. I think that the easiest thing for anybody to do is find differences. I mean, this is clear. Regardless of whether you have people who don't even agree with you on a certain topic, you can, if everybody even agrees, you will still find differences. You will still be able to make rumors. We know this here in Estonia already as a fact. Certain areas in Estonia are, it's always good to have that black spot on the card where people shouldn't maybe go. So there are certain areas in Estonia that have that stigma, and not for the reason of having refugees or asylum seekers, but just to have certain different minorities. In Estonia's case, it's Russian, the Russian population. So, and this is an unfair stigmatization at the end of the day. But certain people choose to believe it very easily, and certain people choose to defend it. And I think that even if we didn't have these different minorities in a certain area, then we would still find differences between us and our neighbor even. So it's very, and the whole purpose of our seminar here today is to find dialogue again, which is the most difficult thing, because finding differences is extremely easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more comments, questions, or I guess, yeah, we'll wrap it up.